June is Pride Month on The Experience, and we're celebrating our friends in the LGBTQ plus community. Join us June 5th and 6th as we kick off our Pride Month celebration with Experience Pride, a 2-day event featuring creators from the community as well as allies and friends. And then stay tuned all month as we continue our celebration of Pride. Only on The Experience, comics, culture, and sales.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Dan Wickline Show. I'm your host, Dr. Johnny Fever, and all I've got to say is booger. Yeah, that was a little flashback for everybody my age. All right, guys, for all of you, no, both of you, I should probably say, that tune in to the show regularly, that came by yesterday at my normal time slot and I wasn't here, I thought I would tell you guys why. It was quite a little adventure. Seems I was, Monday night, I was feeling a little bit chill, so I kind of cold, which not normal for me. I don't get cold. So the fact that I was cold was kind of strange. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go lay in my bed, throw the blankets over me, watch something. I turned on the first episode of Shadow and Bone, which I've been meaning to watch, and watched it got well into it, and was really enjoying the show. And then I got a phone call, started talking to a friend of mine on the phone, and as I was talking, I noticed that, I couldn't clear my throat. It was just getting a little, and then coughing and trying to clear my throat, and it got worse and worse. And finally I told her, I said, you know what, I got to get off the phone. So I got off the phone and I sat up on the edge of the bed and just tried to catch my breath. And, I'm an asthmatic. So I grabbed an inhaler and took a hit, and it wasn't working. And it got worse and worse. And it got to the point where I just couldn't catch my breath at all. And I thought, all right, this is a problem. So called down the hall, and I live with my mother who, elderly, but we kind of keep an eye on each other. And she called 911, and next thing I know, I am surrounded by like a dozen paramedic and firemen. I mean, they send out a unit. The house is full of people at this point. And they're checking me out and hit me with some nitro spray because I'm a big guy. Okay, I'm 6'6", but I'm also huge. I'm when you go to the big and tall store, they don't expect you to be big and tall. They say, well, we cover the big people and the tall people. I'm that guy. I'm the big and tall. Well, So, nitro spray, stuff like that. And I'm thinking heart because I'm really having a hard time breathing. They're giving me nitro sprays. They're doing stuff like that. They're putting oxygen on. And I'm starting to flip out a little bit. I'm trying to be calm, but, it starts to get a little bit better. I can breathe a little bit, but they're taking me in. I mean, that's a done deal. And of course, again, being a big guy, they're like, we're going to need to bring in a different ambulance, one with a bigger gurney, da-da-da. So I wait through all that, and they show up with the bigger gurney. And I'm like, look, I can walk out of the house and get on the gurney there. They're like, no, we want you to get on here. And I'm like, okay. Not feeling confident about it, but I get on. And I will tell you, I have been 4-bying. I have been dirt bike riding. I have been on roller coasters. There was nothing more terrifying than that gurney coming out of my house, going downstairs, feeling like the entire thing is going to tip over. That was a scary experience in itself. And then getting into the ambulance and the ride down there and feeling like kind of hanging on to the thing that I'm going to fall all over the place. But I get there, and again, thank you to all the paramedics and the firemen. They were freaking awesome. We get down there and get inside. They get me into an emergency room right away, start checking out EKGs, things going on. Because again, can't breathe, bad sounds. They're talking about something, I think they're called rungs or whatever, that they hear in my chest, this bubbly kind of sound when I'm breathing. So I'm expecting the absolute worst. And I get there, and it's probably 7 at night. And by midnight, they have done x-rays and blood work. I've been poked like a pincushion. And the x-ray was, I actually found this part a little humorous. The guy comes in. Nowadays, they don't take you to x-ray. They bring the x-ray machine to you. And they bring in this x-ray, and the guy's like, okay, you're going to have to lean against this plate. It's kind of thick and maybe uncomfortable, but, so they slide it in behind me, and they take the chest x-ray, and the guy goes off, happy as can be. And about 15 minutes later, he comes back, and he's kind of like, what's wrong? He goes, turns out your lungs are a little longer than expected. Yeah. He had to do a second x-ray to get all of my lungs in it. Told you, big and tall. So he does the two x-rays, and they're checking things out, and they're giving me different things. And again, I am sitting there certain it's going to be, I had a stroke, congestive heart failure. I'm going through a Kevin Smith moment. I'm going to have to totally change my life. And by the way, those are all great things to do. It's the changing life thing, what Kevin Smith did, more power to him. And I probably should do all that. But that's not what they told me. That wasn't the diagnosis. The diagnosis came in a backward sort of way when this little guy shows up from the pharmacy and says, well, I need to know what your medications are so we have them in the morning. And I went, morning? He goes, well, yeah, you're keeping overnight because of the pneumonia. I went, pneumonia? They're like, yeah, oh. And then the doctor walked in to tell me. Now, you could have knocked me over with a feather at that point, or with how the gurney was going to tip anyway. But I was completely stunned, because if you would have told me Monday afternoon I had pneumonia, I would have called you a liar. Didn't have any symptoms. Nothing. I was fine. I was out over the weekend. I mean, there were things that, like, I was up in Victorville with a friend of mine, And I noticed that I was getting maybe a little winded more than normal. Again, big guy, and it was hot. It was the first real hot day up in Victorville that I'd been there. So I just kind of chalked it up to that. No. Turns out, I've got pneumonia. And it was bad enough that they were going to keep me overnight, and they were going to put me on IV antibiotics and do other tests, and they were going to put me up in a room. And that, like I said, kind of bowled me over. But then I started really thinking about it. And I was in the same hospital, getting the same diagnosis exactly 8 months to the day from when my father passed away from pneumonia in that hospital. So that hit me really hard. But, kind of tried to keep my spirits up, tried to have fun with, because I was alive. I was breathing. They had me on oxygen, and I was breathing a lot better. My stats were doing better. Everything was coming down, and there was, we knew what it was, so I felt better about that. And I was joking with the guy putting the sticker pad things on me. I told him, I said, this is fine, but I don't kiss on the first date, and that got him. And jokes like that. They hand me the little. They hand you a little urine bottle, and they say, in the middle of the night, if you need to go to the bathroom, use this. And I told him, I said, well, I can't. My arms aren't long enough, and that got him laughing. And I'm sure he's heard that joke before, but he laughed, and that was appreciated. And going through the hallway on the gurney up to my room, I kept going, wee. But being silly, just it's something I do when I'm nervous, so it made it a little more entertaining. But going up there and up to the room. Now, another thing is I have, and like a lot of people, I have sleep apnea. So I have a CPAP. And I really can't sleep without it. It's not a matter of, well, you get a bad night's sleep if you don't have it. I will actually continually just kind of jerk back awake if I don't have my CPAP. So getting up in the room, before we went to the room, they said, and we'll get someone to bring you a CPAP. I'm like, excellent. This is how much pounds of pressure I need. I know all that information. When it's something that important, you know that information. Get up to the room. They said, tell the nurse when you're up there. I tell the nurse. She goes, okay, I'll call the doctor. I'll get it taken care of. The doctor puts in an order for it. And then I'm looking at the bed they're putting me in. And it's like, you realize that I'm 6'6", right? My feet are literally 6 inches off the end of this bed. So I'm like, that's not going to be a great situation anyway. But I said, but I can't sleep until I get the CPAP. They're like, no problem. We'll get one for you. I'm like, okay, terrific. But again, super sweet. And because of the COVID situation, they didn't, I've been vaccinated, but they still had to run the test because they don't know. And you can still get it if you're vaccinated. It's just, it's not as severe. And pneumonia is one of the big things that comes from it. So of course, I'm in a quarantined room. So everybody coming in has to go with the full gown setup and the face shields and the whole thing. And then when they leave, they put all that stuff in a trash can. And then, so, but I'm like, I don't think I have it, but they did it. And if you haven't had the COVID test, that is a horribly uncomfortable thing where they take the swab and go up and like kind of tickle your brain a bit, and you lose like your memories of your high school years. Well, they did both nostrils, and that, I don't know why that, but so I'm in that room and I'm sitting there waiting for the CPAP, and they pull up a gown and they're like, do you want this? I went, I'd rather stay in. I was in sweats and a t-shirt I was in comfortable clothes, but I didn't necessarily want to wear a hospital gown. There is nobody on this planet that thinks, I'd like to get into a hospital gown. So I declined. And they said, well, you get a pocket on your shirt and there's a heart monitor thing they put in there. And, and they got me on the little oxygen thing, and they've got IVs set up to start putting antibiotics in my system. And I go over to the bed and I sit in a chair for a bit. They're okay with that. And then when I move over to the bed, I just sit on the edge of the bed because bed's not going to be comfortable for me. And they said, well, we're also going to order the bigger bed for you. I'm like, great. All this is going to happen. And there's a horrible TV in the corner, and it's not very loud, and I'm kind of ignoring it anyway. And I end up just sitting on the side of the bed from about, I think I finally got in the room about 1:30 in the morning. CPAP never came. Bigger bed never came. Morning came. 7, 8. They're coming in. They're doing different tests. Guy with an ultrasound keeps rolling in. First, he wants to check veins in my legs, and he wants to check my heart, and he's doing all this stuff. And about 9 o'clock rolls around, and I'm like, not going to sleep tonight at all, huh? They're like, yeah, maybe you can bring it from home, yours from home. I'm like, how long am I going to be here? And the doctor recommends this other like blood thinner medication. I'm like, oh, wait, no, what? Why? I'd like an explanation before I take anything. So the doctor calls, and now I'm talking on the phone with the doctor, and he's like, well, yeah, it's the pneumonia, but I really want to check this out with your heart and this other thing, and I want to do these other things and stuff. And I said, well, Doc, there's a problem. There's the fact that you have me in here to rest and recover. I said, but I don't have a bed I can actually lay in properly, and I don't have a CPAP machine, so I can't sleep, and I haven't slept all night, and I have all those things at home, so you could just kick me loose with antibiotics and let me go home and go to sleep, which is what you want me to do anyway to start recovering, right? I said, so instead of keeping me here sitting on an edge of the bed in an empty white room, and so somebody can come in and take care of me every once in a while, send me home where I can actually start to recover. And he said, okay. He actually went, yeah, that's probably a better way to go. Let's do that. I'll call in a prescription for you for the antibiotics, and we'll get you out of there. Blew me away. I actually thought I Jedi mind tricked him, because doctors do what doctors do, and normally you can't persuade them to let you go, and that's what happened. So I think I finally got out of there by there was some issues. But once everything got cleared up, about 1 o'clock, I was I was in the tiny wheelchair being taken to the front door, and my nephew was there with my truck, and got to the door as soon as the front wheels of the wheelchair got to the door. I was stepped up right out of it, put my hand up, and he just tossed me my keys. I caught him, walked around, got in my truck, and drove. And so got home last night, been taking it easy, came around time to do the show, and got a hold of Kyle, and I said, you know what, I want to do the show today. Probably could have stayed in bed, probably should have stayed in bed, but I'm really bad at not doing anything. I mean, really, really bad at it. My friend Lisa, when I said that they're sending me home, her first text back was, to rest, right? You're not going to go to work. I'm like, no, I'm going to go home and rest. And I did. I came home last night and had some dinner. I didn't eat at the hospital. I've been doing this intermittent fasting thing, so I was trying to stick to that. And also, it's hospital food. So I Didn't touch it, but got home, had some dinner, laid down for a bit. When I did feel like getting up, I sat at my desk, but I didn't even turn the computer on. I read, caught up on some comics I've been meaning to read, and I'll actually tell you about them in a few minutes. But yeah, so pneumonia out of the frickin' blue. But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't think about stuff like my heart, my size, things like that. I absolutely should. And we all should. We should all worry about our health and our, how we're taking care of ourselves and taking time to listen to our bodies and what's going on. And you might have noticed that every once in a while I'll roll my shoulder. Well, I've been having a shoulder issue for about a month now, and it stopped bothering me once I started getting on the antibiotics. So I'm thinking maybe the shoulder thing was a sign that I should have taken something to do with the pneumonia. I don't know. I really didn't see any signs, but also I ignored some because I'm kind of a tank, World of Warcraft, first character I ever rolled was a prot warrior. Played that way, leveled as a prot warrior because that's my mentality. I'll take the hits. I'll just keep chugging along. That's why I'm probably here on the show right now. Just chugging along, keep on moving. And that's a good way to end up in an early grave. You got to take care of yourself, people. You got to stop and see your doctors, do what they tell you, take care of yourself. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time preaching to people. I'm a huge guy, and I had found a diet thing that was working for me. I had dropped about 80 pounds and was doing good. Then the pandemic hit, and then my father passed, and ended up putting a lot of that weight back on because slipped into the old habits. You get down, you get depressed, you can't get out and do things that you were doing. Next thing you know, it creeps back up on you. So trying to get back under control of that. And you guys can call me out on the show here if you can ask me how I'm doing, stuff like that if you like. But you guys got to take care of yourself because we only get one shot, one turn. There's no do-overs. There's no, start agains. One. And we've lost a lot of people lately. COVID took a lot of people. And then everything else, you look at like the gun violence and stuff. We got one time on this planet. We got to take it seriously. You got to be good about it. So take care of yourselves, And if you're like, yeah, idiot, you're the one with pneumonia doing a show. Well, I would go crazy if I was just sitting in my room watching TV constantly. I have to do something. So this was my deal. I would do my show, and that was it today. Do my show, and then I will go back to bed, or I will, go back to reading, whatever. Just had to do something, and this was the one I picked because I do enjoy doing this show. I enjoy talking with everybody and talking about stuff, and I'm now going to move past that. Let me tell you the things I caught up on reading. And I was pretty excited about all of them. I got to tell you, I picked them all up around the same time. And of course, like a lot of people, I've got comics stashed, sitting around that I haven't had a chance to read. So this was the collection. Let me pull it. Here we go. All right. First thing I picked up was the new Shang-Chi #1. From Marvel, and really enjoyed that. It's a slightly different take on the character. He's now the head of the 5 weapons. He's got an annoying sister who reminds me a bit of Damian Wayne, who I also find annoying. And I think she's called the Deadly Dagger or something. And it involves Spider-Man. And I think this is going to cross him over with a lot of different Marvel characters. The first one was Spider-Man. The second one's supposed to be Captain America. And I do plan on getting number 2 when it comes out. It's a good read. The art wasn't a style I was familiar with, or the artist, but I liked it. Dyke Ruin and the writer Jean Long Yang. Good pickup. And if you're, we got the upcoming Shang-Chi movie, so it's a great comic to read. I've really enjoyed it. Another book that I am currently reading, and a little surprised by this one because I didn't plan on, but I think I showed you guys last week that I had picked up the first issue of Heroes Reborn #1 from through Dynamic Forces because I was really jazzed by the cover. But I read it, really liked it, and I've picked up the second 2 issues, 2 and 3 so far. I think 4 comes out today. This is a cool story. I don't usually get into the Marvel events, but this feels a lot like they're saying that whatever happened turned the Marvel universe basically into the DC universe. Because Hyperion is Superman and Power Princess is Wonder Woman and the Blur is the Flash. But even the characters, the bad guys, they're becoming kind of anagrams, or there's another better term for it, but of DC characters. Like Ultron suddenly has the power to grow because he's got Pym Particle Heart, and it's like, well, that reminds me of Metallo and the Kryptonite Heart and different things like that. Also, Blade is kind of the good guy in this, and a Captain America that never got that gets unfrozen much later. And, of course, Echo, the new Phoenix. So I'm really enjoying that. I haven't had a chance to pick up the one-shots yet. I'm probably going to do that, but it's been a good read so far. It's a little different. They change up the artists now and again. Dale Keown comes on. Ed McGuinness is the main artist. But it's been a really good story so far, and I'm looking forward to the rest of it. So I'm sticking with this series. Nonstop Spider-Man. This has been pretty good so far. I'd actually read the first one before, but I sat down and read the second part. Love seeing Chris Bachalo again on some art. Joe Kelly's writing is really good. Nice to see him back at Marvel. It's a different kind. It's a fast-paced Spider-Man, again, from the Nonstop angle. But I'm going to stick with this one, too. I'm kind of cool on that. This one I'm really enjoying. I didn't like the beginning of it as much, but The Black Knight. Trying to get off the glare. There we go. The Black Knight. I've got all 3 issues so far. I do bags and board back to back because when I was a kid, I didn't have as many bags and boards, so it was easier to get more quantity or out of bag and board more and less bags and board. This has been a really good series so far. I didn't like how much they made Dane Whitman kind of a sad sack in it. It bothered me a little bit at first, but now I see that it actually is playing into the story itself. A little surprising, but it's got Dane Whitman, it's got Mordred, it's got Eliza Blood. There's some references to Thor, and it's diving deep into the Ebony Blade and the other Ebony artifacts. They're doing a really good job, and I'm loving Sergio Davila's art on this. He is, well, I got to work with him back when he was doing covers for Sinbad, but I think he is a phenomenal artist that more people should be paying attention to. He did his time with Dynamite on a lot of good books for there. Simon Spurrier is writing it. And again, another character that's going to be popping up in the movies soon. So it's a good one to pick up and read. So definitely want to stick with that one. And then I have been reading, I've read the Charles Soule Light of the Jedi, the new book in the High Republic series, but I've also been reading the comic series by Cavan Scott and I don't remember his first name, but Andedito. This is really good. We're following a brand new Jedi Knight and her master. And we're learning about Starlight Beacon and the Hut and the Nihil and there's all these new things coming along. But my absolute favorite part of this is the Jedi Master Skier, who is a Trandoshan. And I love the idea of a Trandoshan Jedi. Now, don't know how familiar you are with Star Wars, and we're going to do a commercial break in a few minutes. JD can get ready for that. But Trandoshans are the Klingons of the Star Wars universe. They are all about honor and the hunt, the kill. That's, they have a goddess called the Scorekeeper who keeps track of how many kills you get in the hunt. So to have a Trandoshan, and Bosk is probably the most famous of the Trandoshans from Empire Strikes Back, one of the Jedis. So to have a Jedi Trandoshan is a phenomenal idea because it's kind of like having a Klingon on the bridge of the Enterprise. It's what they did with Next Generation. This is fascinating to me, and by far is my favorite character. And just, I would kill to write this character. I absolutely would. I would love to do the story about him deciding to become a Jedi and his days as a Padawan. I would watch a TV series about this character just because of that concept is so unique. To take a warrior class that's all about killing, a hunter class race, and taking one of them and going, but he's going to be a Jedi. Love it. Absolutely love it. Because you could see him going to the dark side so easily. He could have been a Sith like that, but he has been hanging on, and he's the best character in that series. Great characters. I mean, really enjoying that series. They're up to issue 5 now, so I do recommend that. So I wasn't on in stores last night either. My apologies for that. I know, but Kyle had some fun with some friends. But so those are my recommendations for series to follow right now: Nonstop Spider-Man, Black Knight, Curse of the Ebony Blade, Shang-Chi, and the Heroes Reborn series, and Star Wars The High Republic. And yes, I realize they're all Marvel comic books. Wasn't planned that way. I just haven't had a chance to grab any new DC books lately, or even any independents. I haven't had a chance to get to the shop, and so going to be doing that. Also, I also am starting to read, but just picked it up, Sunstone latest volume. Love this series. Stephen Sedgwick is brilliant. The fact that he cranks these out and then puts them free online and then sells them blows my mind. All right, JD, if you're ready, let's bounce this to commercial, and then we'll be right back in just a moment.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
June is Pride Month on The Experience, and we're celebrating our friends in the LGBTQ plus community. Join us June 5th and 6th as we kick off our Pride Month celebration with Experience Pride, a 2-day event featuring creators from the community as well as allies and friends. And then stay tuned all month as we continue our celebration of Pride. Only on The Experience, Comics, Culture, and Sales.
Hey, welcome back. Glad you're around. Glad I'm around. If you watched the first half of the show, you understand why. All right, we're going to go into something else in a minute, but I do want to talk about the fact that this is Pride Month, and we will be celebrating Pride this month here on The Experience. We're going to be doing a Experience Pride this weekend. And it's going to be a 2-day event that's going to have a lot of different guests on, and but we're going to carry it through the whole month. So there'll be other things going on, but this is the weekend we're going to kick it off. Now, to find out who our guests are and when the schedule is, what you want to do is follow us, join our mailing list. You go to the comicshopexperience.com, as JD is putting it up in our chat. Go there and sign up for the mailing list, and we will send you. You'll get the schedule. You'll get the of the shows, but you'll find out who the guests are going to be for Pride Month, when they're going to be on, stuff like that. And we don't bug you with it too much. We don't send you a bunch of mailers constantly. It's just a good mailing list to get on if you're enjoying the experience. And, like I said, you'll find out what's going on. Plus, with Pride Month, we want to celebrate our LGBTQ friends and allies and fellow creators. So join us as we do this. All right. Also, remember, we have an Instagram and TikTok account. Both of them are available at _EXP or Experience EXP1, and that's on both Instagram and TikTok. Currently, they're starting to show videos of different people on the Experience and their favorite DC characters. We had done the Marvel characters previously, so if you're wondering what's Kyle's favorite DC character or what my favorite Marvel character was, you can find all that out over on Instagram or TikTok. All right, we are going to drift in for the rest of the show and talk about The Bad Batch, Star Wars The Bad Batch. Now, I have to say, I'm all caught up on the show, and I'm liking it. But I'm not liking it as much as I thought I would. But I think it's partly because of expectations, and that's part of what I wanted to talk about. The show itself feels like season 8, season 9, I'm not familiar, not for sure certain, of the Clone Wars. It feels like it's the next extension of the Clone Wars. And the fact that the first episode started with the newsreel propagandist opening, as the Clone Wars always did, might have started that feeling. But they stopped it because that was kind of the transition from the Clone Wars to the Bad Batch. Great idea. But again, I think it might have changed expectations. Also, when they put it on. Now, we're coming off of a run of amazing shows. The Mandalorian Season 2. With that amazing cameo or amazing guest spot at the end. We went almost immediately into WandaVision. Great series. Then The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Another great series. Event series. Big things. people are staying up late to watch this show or getting up super early so they can see it before they go to work. They're talking about it. There are show after show online breaking down every episode, every Easter egg, every what things might be, what this could do. Hey, this is what this means to the MCU overall, or this what means to the Star Wars universe, or what might happen next. Speculation show after speculation show. That's what the Friday night release or the Thursday night, Friday morning release thing, that's the expectation that was created by those 3 shows in a row. That's not the Bad Batch. This isn't a event series. This is a TV series. This is, like I said, season 9 of the Clone Wars. This is Rebels. And that's not a bad thing. But because of when they decided to release it, I think it skewed expectations. Now, it's also an animated series, which is not a bad thing. Again, Clone Wars was animated. Rebels was animated. What If is going to be animated. But it's taking the time slot that was the live action event series. So I think that may have, again, set expectations too high for what is a good series. Is it Falcon and the Winter Soldier good? Is it WandaVision good? Is it Mandalorian good? No. It's not. It's a good series. It's not that. And it could have been. But they're thinking of it as a TV series. They're thinking of it, they're doing it like Clone Wars. It's 14 or 16 episodes long. Originally, I thought it was 14, but if you look on like IMDb now, it's actually listed out for 16 episodes. So I'm not sure when that changed. The first episode was 90 minutes, but everything else has been 25, 28, 30. And they just about lost me. And I probably would have kept watching, but not with any kind of vigor with episodes 2 and 3. Because they felt very unimportant. Do you remember in season 2 of The Mandalorian, the second episode, with the spiders, the ice spiders, and everybody's like, "Oh, they're doing filler episodes. Oh, it was an unnecessary episode." Now, I think that helped set up some stuff. It introduced us to Carson Tevye. It introduced us to the frog people who helped him. It got him to where Bo-Katan was. It was an important episode in that sense. But that's how I looked at the second and third episodes of The Bad Batch. And I'm going to try to do this without spoilers, but it's kind of difficult. And we are quite a few episodes in now. But just in case, spoilers. The first episode, I found the 90-minute episode really good, and I got excited for it because I'm like, okay, here's a whole new take on it, and really loving it. And until they introduced Omega. Can't say I'm a big fan of the little kid being added to a series. And that seems to be Dave Filoni's card. He plays a lot. It's Clone Wars. Well, we'll add a young Ahsoka Tano. Rebels. Ezra. The Mandalorian. Grogu. Here we are with the Clone War, or the Bad Batch. Omega. And yes, I'm going to say that name like that because that's how they say it in the show. Omega. Like it's the longest E ever. And It's like, okay, if you want to do that occasionally, but they seem to be doing that in everything Dave Filoni does. So I'm wondering which sidekick Ahsoka Tano is going to have. I'm hoping he doesn't do it there. But I do like a lot of the aspects that they created in the first one. I like the fact that one of the members, Crosshair, has the chip functioning and they're able to get it, you know. And I do like the fact that Wrecker's chip seems to be doing something, giving him headaches, and that he may flip at some point. That's a tension builder, though it does feel like it's starting to go too long. And part of that is because if you could have dropped episodes 2 and 3, and I don't think it would have changed the series at all. Episode 2 really felt unnecessary. They go and visit Cut, I think that was his name. Don't remember his name off the top of my head. And you can't really look these up very well because most of them are, they list them by actor and stuff. And when it comes to any of the clones, it's just clones or, the Bad Batch. It's all D. Bradley Baker because he does all the flippin' voices. I'm surprised they don't have him doing the Omega's voice, but they do as a Michelle Ang, I think the name is. Michelle Ang, yeah. But I was making a point. Yeah. So that episode just felt like filler to me. And it's the second episode of a new series. That's kind of ridiculous. And what did we learn from that? We learned that the Empire was basically giving everybody social security numbers. Your ID number or whatever it was called. Okay. You could have done that in 2 minutes. You didn't need a full episode to do that. They could have literally just put them on a ship and taken them elsewhere. There was a lot of things that didn't make sense in that episode. And it was also an episode basically meant to get them to accept Omega as part of the team. Even though they tried to get rid of her, and they tried to get rid of him, but River, and she ended up, they'd end up keeping her and stuff. I don't know, new top corner graphic. The Dan Wickline one's the same. Hadn't noticed. Hey, JD. So I really didn't think the second episode was necessary. In the third episode, there was a little bit about replacing, you could see the transformation from clone warriors to actual stormtroopers. And that was kind of important, but I think they could have put that into the other episodes because we haven't seen Crosshairs in the last 2 episodes, in episodes 4 and 5, at all. So they could have just taken those scenes and put them into 4 and 5, and the rest of episode 3 didn't seem to matter much either. The whole stocking and putting a battery, again, it was all to create this sense of camaraderie with Omega. And again, I don't think they necessarily needed that. They could have done all that in the 4th episode, and that was a great episode, the Fennec Shand episode. So it feels like they're trying to do it as a TV series in an event series slot. And now this show's going to be running well into August, so they're moving Loki to Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, depending on where you are. And that just, I think it would have been better if they would have moved the Bad Batch to Wednesday and kept Friday night, the Thursday night, Friday morning thing for the event series. And, Loki's debuting next week. They could have said, okay, well, we've had Bad Batch on Fridays. Now I'll see it on Wednesday and get it early this week. And then from going forward, And I think that would have been a great idea, but no, they're going to do Loki on Wednesdays, and the Bad Batch is staying on Friday. Overall, but I do like the Bad Batch. I'm enjoying it, but I am not staying up until midnight to watch it like I did Falcon and Winter Soldier and Mandalorian and WandaVision. You're not hearing of Disney Plus going down when they drop a new episode of The Bad Batch. Will that happen during Loki? Maybe. Looks like a great series. Really looking forward to it. But not sure about, I think they set the expectations too high, putting The Bad Batch on the Friday night slot. And I think it may have cost them some viewers who may have given it more of a chance had it been at proper expectation levels. That said, I like where they're going with it. I think the fourth episode was really strong. They could have done episodes 1, 4, and 5, and I think you would have been moving along at a great pace. Instead, we're 5 episodes in with 2 slog fillers, and yeah, JD, that's great. Friday nights are for bad bitches, not bad batches. So, yeah. So it's a good show, and I think people should be watching it. But I watched episode 5 on Sunday before I did Pop Go the Writers because I knew that we were going to talk about it. I didn't even think about it all day Friday or Saturday. Then there was times I could have watched it. I had 28 minutes, 25 minutes. By the way, I love that Rhea Perlman is now a voice on and a character that might be a regular. If they kind of give us a new direction for the Bad Batch in episode 5, if you've seen it, if you haven't, you should. But a new direction, in which case Rhea Perlman playing Sid might be a major part of the show going forward. And I like that because we haven't seen Rhea Perlman in a long time. We get Danny DeVito popping up all the time, her husband, but Rhea hasn't been around much lately, at least that I've seen. So I'm really glad to see that. And I do like the Easter eggs they pop in. Bib Fortuna shows up, or again, Fennec Shan last in the previous episode. So those are kind of fun, and it's a fun series. I like Hunter and Wrecker. Tech and Echo seem to kind of be interchangeable at times. I think they need to solidify what each one does a little better. And they really need to resolve whatever's going on with Wrecker, his chip. So that I don't want them to play that out too long. It's an interesting tension builder, but let's get to the resolution of that. And if the resolution then gives them the idea, hey, we might be able to get Crosshairs back. Great. That I think is where they're going to end up going anyway, because Crosshairs is part of the team. And even though they're slowly kind of pushing him out, it's like, oh, let's give you Crosshairs room. Let's give you Crosshairs communication device. I think they'll eventually try to get him back if they get something that makes them think they can. And they do know about the chips now, so that could be the direction they're going. But again, I think 14, 16 episodes of this, you're going to get filler. And I don't think Disney Plus is where you want filler. If you're doing Cartoon Network shows and you're supposed to do a full season of 16, 18, 20 episodes, fine. But I don't see that on these streaming services. I think you need to have a tight set of episodes that tells your story. That was the one knock against the Netflix series. They were all 13 episodes, and some of them didn't feel like they needed to be 13 episodes. Think about how good Iron Fist would have been at 6. Cut out a lot of Danny Rand just telling people he was Iron Fist and showing off, oh, my fist can glow. Or the first season of Luke Cage just stuck with the Cottonmouth story. Would have been awesome. The second guy, Diamondback. That part is where it dipped down. The first with Mahershala Ali, that was awesome. It's when the second guy came in, it was like, we're kind of losing something here, but it's still good. So when you're doing an event series, I think event series are what you should be doing on streaming services. Now, yeah, we go back like on some of these and they have like the whole season of this and that, but they weren't created on there. If you're creating for these streaming services, I think they should be quick-paced event series, and I'm so looking forward to Loki. I am looking forward to getting to talk about Loki. Next Tuesday's show will probably be a setup for Loki, and Wednesday's show will probably be talking about Loki. So I am all in for Loki, ready for that. What'd you say? Let's see. JD says Iron Fist would have excelled at 90 minutes, made for a streaming movie. Yeah. I thought season 2 of Iron Fist was decent. I think that the showrunner they brought in was much better than the first. Scott Buck, I think, was the first showrunner. He also did the Inhumans, so you can see he's consistent. I think they were fixing some stuff with season 2 that I would like to have seen a season 3 just to see where it was going with. I mean, we end with Danny has Orson Rand's guns, and I wanted to see where they were going, stuff like that, but it wasn't to be. All right, guys, we're going to be wrapping up here in a minute. Stick around, though. Dashman's Comics coming up next. And, he's just kind of a frantic pace selling comics. So stick around. And by the way, if he has any of those books I recommended, grab it. Heroes Reborn, Black Knight, Curse of the Ebony Blade, Nonstop Spider-Man, the Star Wars The High Republic series, and, of course, Shang-Chi. Look for those. Those are great reads. Thank you guys for indulging me earlier when I talked about my emergency room visit, and I'm glad to be back. I will be back tomorrow night at the later time, the 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern show. I have no idea what the topic's going to be. I'll probably be going through the news and seeing what's been happening this week. I got some catching up to do, but I've got between now and then, well, today's going to be resting. Tomorrow I'll put together a show, and or maybe I'll try to get an interview, try to get someone I can have on and we can talk for a while. We'll see about it. We'll make tomorrow up as we go. But thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, this weekend, we're going to start our Pride Month coverage with a 2-day event, bunch of great guests. And if you want to know what we got going on, sign up for our mailing list, comicshoppingexperience.com. And remember our Instagram and TikTok accounts at @the_EXP1. Thank you, JD, for joining us. Thank you, JD, the producer, for running the show. And thank you all for coming. Have a great day.